David here for another Whiskey Wednesday. I'm here with Aaron Chepenik, Smokewagon.
Yes.
And super excited to have you here today.
I'm excited to be here.
Taking the time to come down
my pleasure.
to ye old Denver, Colorado.
I appreciate
to
your
our
support.
show.
Yeah.
And we're excited to launch our new single barrel that we're having out, but we're going to talk about some of the core brands as well. So let's get going. Tell us a little bit about your story, man. You're a super interesting guy. Look at that hat.
So basically, we were actually just talking about earlier. So I started in the bar business, and I used to be a big vodka drinker. And then as I wanted to slow it down, I just tried everything, and I really loved bourbon and rye. And so it just kind of seemed like the next step forward was to kind of get into manufacturing, and also because intellectually I was bored. Like when I was crazy and drinking and partying all the time, bar business was amazing. But once I wasn't, it was like you're just managing stuff. Like blah, 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 set with blah, blah, blah. Now they can't work a shift together anymore. And the ice machine broke, and like some chick puked.
Don't you talk about ice machines. We have a very bad history here with our ice machines.
Some girl pooped her pants and flushed them down the toilet. Now we got the whole bar's flooded, and so I wanted to do something where I was like, got to be creative. Because the creative process was like designing them and everything, and and all of them were too high volume to be like craft cocktail bars. So we were just just slinging drinks, and then also I was getting too old, man. I was like killing the vibe, showing up, people like, you're a creep, get out of here. But you can never be too old to make bourbon. The older you get, the more authority you have.
Let's talk about the MGP story.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's you guys. The finishing process is fantastic.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's all blending. I learned a lot about blending, especially with like Desert Colt, because when I started, the whole thing that happened was we went to MGP in 2012, and we bought all the 5-year Seagram's barrels they had, and we bought all the new fills. There was like 550 of them that were like 5 months old, and the funny thing is they had to talk us into it. But I wish I bought everything, but I didn't know anything back then. And so like they're giving you samples, and I didn't know what a single barrel was, and so I was like, I don't like the 6-year, it's too oaky. But it was just like that one barrel. I should have bought it all. But fortunately, things did not work out as planned, because we were originally going to dump all those 5 years into a big tank and use them until like the other stuff turned 5 years old, because I thought I liked the 5-year based on the one sample I had. And the tanks never got approved, and years went by, and then all of a sudden the 5-year was 8-year, and the new fills were 4-year. And so like these consultants we hired, wasted our money on, they're like, oh, well, you know what you could do? You can release small batch as an 8-year, and then when those turn 4 years old, you can blend it in to step them down. And I was like, that's kind of like a move. I don't really want to do that. And they're like, well, that's what big brands do. And that's why traditionally non-age statement barrels had a bad reputation, because they would come out with something old, win a bunch of awards, and then step it down. So we never got picked up until, and then it was December of 2015, and the new fills were 4 years old. So I just experimented with blending, because I liked the 8-year, but this is 36% rye, and rye ages very fast, and a lot of the rye spice was gone, and I really liked the fruit. And so when I did that blending, not knowing what I was doing, just spending 3 days trying to figure it out, I was like, the 8 years got this? It was like baking a cake. It was like 8-year tastes like this. I like those flavors. 4-year tastes like this. I want those flavors. Let's try to put them together and get all the flavors. But it wasn't really until I was doing stuff like Desert Colt and things like that where I really learned about blending, because a lot of the times the samples I'm working with, I don't like any of them. And so you're creating a chemical reaction by blending these different warehouse locations together that are different proofs. And anytime you blend different proofs together, you get a chemical reaction that generates heat and microbubbles. And so you're trying to get everything to cancel each other out and create entirely new flavors.
So a lot of our partners like Outlaws, Justin over at Stranahan's. They're all like chemists. Are
Yeah.
you kind of that type of guy?
No, I think it's magic.
It's just magic?
It's magic because there's times it's like counterintuitive where I'm having a hard time and I'm like, you know what? F it. I'm just gonna try this. This is like the worst one, and I'm not gonna do it little. I'm gonna do like 25% more of that. And when I'm talking about 25%, it's not like I'm working off 3 different locations. I'm working off 7 to 13 different locations because our inventory is so vast now, and so and that does it. You know, but I've learned over time that like. If you have things on opposite end of the spectrum where one's like really too young and really astringent and one like maybe even though it's 4 years old, it's like warehouse G 6th floor and it's super oaky, those will cancel each other out.
When you put them together, it is kind of a fun, you know, juxtaposition that it all just works out.
It's fun when it works out, yeah. When it doesn't work out and you start punching yourself in the face.
Blending with, like I said, Laws. We did a blending and we took 5% off,
right,
with a rye or a wheat versus the regular bourbon.
Yeah,
and it was just that 5%.
It's a trip,
made
isn't it?
Taste like a Weller 107.
Yeah,
and it was just incredible how that 5% changed everything. And it wasn't even the whiskey that we liked that changed it
for the better.
Yeah, it was the one we didn't like that changed it for the better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so yeah, it's and sometimes it's intuitive and sometimes it's counterintuitive.
Well, let's jump into some tasting notes.
So we're going to get into the straight bourbon right now. So this and Desert Colt are actually coming out in custom glass because the way the market has gone, these are now the face of the brand. I sell way more straight and this is, what do you have this on the shelf for?
$29.99. Yeah.
Where'd that voice come from? Was that guy?
It was the supplier. So yeah, God.
No, not the supplier. I can't tell you the price. So yeah, sub $30, 92.5 proof, non-chill filtered. When I did this in 2020 during the height of bourbon, everyone told me I was crazy. They're like, you got to do more expensive stuff. You got to do stuff finished in candy cane.
We're all broke.
And barbecue barrels. And I was like, I think entry level's lost its way. Entry level should be good. It just might not be as deep as complex as something that an experienced bourbon drinker would want, but it should taste good. And this is one double gold, double platinum last year. And I will tell you, because I've seen people in bourbon groups on Facebook like talk smack about this. If you're new to bourbon, this is what you want, okay? You do not want uncut, unfiltered. You do not want to like dive into a single barrel with a bunch of oak. You want this because it takes a while. It's not scotch, it's bourbon. And you can lose all the youth in 4 years and have like a nice, fruity, beautiful, accessible flavor profile. What you pay for in bourbon, when you pay for age, you're paying for oak and depth and earth. And that to an unseasoned bourbon drinker is going to be a harshness that's perceived as ethanol burn. So like if we have uncut unfiltered 116 proof and Desert Colt at 120, they're gonna think uncut unfiltered is hotter because it's oaky. And so for this, I like really blend out the oak, just keep it incredibly accessible because when you have something at that price point, you need to sell a lot of it. And so you need to have a wide audience. And I'm telling you right now, the oakier and the deeper and the more complex it gets, the more you're gonna narrow your audience for what people like.
On the nose, do you get the confection cake? A little bit?
Are you kidding me? Are you gonna say you get creme brulee? No, just kidding. No, it's very sweet. Look, I'm terrible about nose stuff.
The confection cake, you know those like cookies?
Yes. Yeah,
So,
like icing.
But I love that. I love that profile, and this is just an like everyday drinker, price point wise.
Yeah.
And fantastic on the palate.
Thank you. Yeah, it's 1 o'clock. This is beautiful.
No front or back palate spice.
I've had nothing to drink today, and that first sip, it's so nice and beautiful and delicious. And I don't have to sit there and pick out flavors to enjoy it. And like sometimes, 92.5 proof, non-chill filtered. So it's got all its fats. It has all its lipid esters. That's going to insulate your palate from the heat. And it's just beautiful. you know, sometimes you don't want to be drinking uncut, unfiltered in the afternoon. Maybe you have something to do later on.
Let's go Desert Colt.
Yeah, so this is Desert Colt full strength. I chose full strength because I don't want there to be any hurdles. Right? At this price point, what is it here? Voice from Beyond.
Voice from Beyond.
$44.99.
$44.99. We could probably do better than that. Voice from Beyond. But so this is it's cast strength, but I call it full strength because cast strength has no meaning. Neither does barrel proof or full proof or anything. None of them are regulated by the TTB. So I just put full strength, no water added ever, so nobody has to ask you any questions. You know, it says non-chill filtered, which it is, and this is the hardest one to do by far. Because this used to be Uncut the Younger, but I realized it's not a Younger Uncut Unfiltered. It is a cast strength version of this. And what I mean by that is Uncut Unfiltered is like bourbon drinkers. There's a lot going on.
Yep.
And this might be somebody, it's more of like a daily high proof bourbon. So not as deep, not as complex, a little more accessible.
I mean, it does on the nose. It's more complex than, you know, the previous one we tried. And I get some vegetal notes on this one. It's
Yeah, I mean,
a lot more
they're
earth.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no youth drinking it. There's not a lot of grain.
That's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah,
And-
that is the hardest one to do by far.
Why is that?
Because you're not adding any water, and you're just using. And I'm just using 4-year, and you know I can get it to taste good, but it requires a lot of blending, a lot of figuring out which locations to combine together, especially, you know, because so adding water like this, right? Both of these I want to be not super oaky, somewhat accessible. So especially in the wintertime when there's contraction, it's sucking all the tannins back out of the wood. I'm fighting against that with these two. Now this one I add water. That helps a lot, right? It's gonna bring out all the sweet flavors, bury the oak. This, I just have to figure out how to do it.
Well, in your location, it's quite hot.
Yes. Well, summertime's easy. Summertime, when it's 4% humidity, even though we're air conditioned, everything just gets sucked into the wood.
Okay.
And it's so beautiful. And it's like, blending's like a joy. There's angels coming down. I got birds on my shoulders. You know, it's amazing.
What world do you live in? I'd like
Well,
to join you.
blending in the wintertime is very dark. Everyone stays away from me. I get very moody. I'm having a hard time. You know, you got to go for walks. And it's like,
Well, and you're going to be hanging around here today, right?
Yes, we're doing a bottle signing today.
So yeah.
What time is it?
I don't know.
Oh,
You know.
Voice from Beyond, 3 to 5. Thank goodness. We know what's happening.
So 3 to 5 today. If you
Yes.
come down and meet this interesting gentleman, and
I'm already ready. I didn't know when it was going to be. I already have my Sharpie.
Talk to him
my
about
paint marker.
some fine blended whiskey.
Thank you. Hey, it's not blended whiskey. It's straight bourbon, okay?
Straight bourbon.
I know, it's funny because like when you talk about blending, like the TTB, the federal government's regulation for blended whiskey is like whiskey and neutral grain spirit or light whiskey. But so it's hard because like you're saying blending, but technically you're not blending because blending is blending different types together, and what we're doing is combining different vintages, or in this case, now that we're in the small batch, this is where we get into vintage blending.
Great.
So this is 4-year, 5-year, 7, and 8. I rarely go older than 8-year for small
Why is that?
Because kind of same reason. I want this to finish, and hopefully it tastes like this and I'm not full of I want it to finish like honey and cinnamon, like not big oak. I want it to have depth and complexity, but we're still, you know, it's in the $55 range. I still want it to be somewhat of a crowd pleaser, but have enough going on to keep, you know, bourbon drinkers interested. And I actually drink this the most, probably.
I get a lot of red fruit on this more so than the other two.
Yeah.
this is more my speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be something I'd drink every day.
Oh yeah, because it's got the depth, it has the complexity.
Yeah.
You've got that older stuff. Oh yeah, I mean, there's so much deep, rich flavors coming from the 8-year, and it has a lot more. I love small batch. Small batch, I would say, is my desert island one because I am never not in the mood for it.
Instead of the desert.
My deserted island one. I loved. Well, yeah, Desert Cold's pretty amazing too.
Well,
They're all great. I love them all.
I will say that you've cursed more than anybody ever in the 6 years we've been doing Whiskey Wednesday. So cheers to that, I guess.
I'm so sorry.
We can edit it out. But yeah, kind of fun.
Boring.
Well, so the reason we're all here is
Yes.
Argonaut has bought a single barrel.
Yes.
So it's a straight bourbon whiskey coming in from Warehouse Floor 4.
Warehouse F. So Warehouse F is Old
F?
Quaker. Yeah, that was built.
So not Floor 4?
This thing says F4, right? WF4. Warehouse F, fourth floor.
Fourth floor. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then it's 8 years, coming in at $57.85.
Yeah.
So
These are really cool. This is 39% rye, 10% malted rye, and MGP only distilled these for 2 years. I think they did like 5,000 barrels total, and we only have 100 or so left. And once they're gone forever.
that was one of the things we used to always say in every single one of our single barrel releases once it's gone, it's gone. Because whenever you get a single barrel, that's it.
Yeah, I like to say.
I love when I travel around. If I go to a different state, I hop into random liquor stores and I see some of their, even Maker's Mark Private Selects, just some of the fun stuff that other stores do. It's fun to buy those products because it literally only has about 260 bottles max.
Yes, and
that's it.
And the thing is, they only taste like that for like a limited amount of time. Like I've even asked people, like, "Hey, can I get samples? Like, when are you going to do a pick?" They're like, "Oh, and like end of the year." I'm like, "No, the barrel's not going to taste the same at the end of the year. It's going to be totally different, especially like ones I have in Las Vegas." And it's funny, like we're talking about this. So I left the back of this label the same as it was when I first released in 2000.
Yeah.
2017. When I first did my first single barrel, my distributor in Nevada, none of the sales reps wanted to carry it because there was only like 28 cases for a 9-year. And I was like, well, how many cases do you expect to get out of a 9-year single barrel? And they're like, oh, this brand we get 150. I was like, okay, well, let's do the math on that. And like nothing was real. Everything was just like a barrel program. Like I even had a store manager tell me that big brands would come with a roll of stickers and ask him how many cases he wanted in his pick. And they would put stickers on existing inventory because single barrel is not regulated by the federal government. You can call anything a single barrel. And so that's why, like, it sounds stupid now to be like, oh, beyond single barrel. That's because single barrels had no meaning back then. Like, people are like, why does this one taste different? I'm like, well, because it's a single barrel. Like, well, yeah, well, I got blah, blah, blah single barrels. It tastes the same every time. And,
well, I mean, even with, like, we do Buffalo Trace single barrels, and I know it's cheap, or cheaper, but they're fun, and they do all taste different.
Right.
Sometimes I get something that tastes like a Rickhouse, or sometimes it's like that heavy cherry flavor.
Oh yeah.
But every single barrel is different, and it's
well, nobody owns an oak farm,
no.
right? So the wood's all coming from different places.
And you know this. It doesn't matter where it's at in the warehouse, or you could have a barrel right next to each other, and it's completely different
all the time. Yeah, same tier, same rack.
No rhyme or reason.
Yep.
So
the rhyme and reason is the oak.
The
oak. Because like you never know where it comes from. Because
Well-
people are out logging for a pine on the East Coast and they come across an oak tree, and so like cooperages are just buying up oak. So they could all come from different regions.
So, God, what's this coming in at?
Great question. I believe $99.99.
Okay. So
It was 101, but for today only, it's not. Oh, that's delicious.
So I said this earlier when I smelled it. I get a little bit of star anise on the nose for whatever.
Man, that is
reason.
so unique.
But it's very, very unique.
It's very malty, like without the bar, because it's 10% malted rye. So you get all that malt sugar without the funky rye, funky barley element. I love these. I mean, look at that thing, man. It's so fatty.
Yeah. The mouthfeel is fantastic. And, you know, speak to the oils that, you know, whenever you're...
Oh, the lipid esters?
Yeah.
Yeah. So lipid esters, so that's the fat, you know, and like when we say things like this is non-chill filtered, that's very important, especially like if you look at, you know, sort of a lot of general consumers are coming from 80 proof. They look like 92.5, but 92.5 non-chill filtered, it's very thick, it's very creamy because none of the fats have been filtered out of it. And that's also why it's 92.5, because when you hear people say, oh, add some water, open it up, that's because the sugars and the fats have been dissolved by the alcohol and your palate can't necessarily taste them. And so the more you proof it down, the more those are released. And actually, if you proof it down so much, the fat gets so released and is no longer dissolved by the alcohol. And if it gets cold, it'll return to a solid state. And that's called flocking. And that's why anything under 92.5 proof is usually chill filtered, so that if it's being shipped in the wintertime, it won't flock. But we want the fat. We want that flavor and that creaminess. At least I do.
Well, so like and subscribe on YouTube. We're able to go live on YouTube. We cannot go live on Instagram anymore, Facebook. So we'd love for you guys to still follow us. Come on down today.
Come on down today.
Let's hang out and, you know, get one of these bottles signed. This is going to go fast. I feel like if it doesn't, that's a shame, because this is a fantastic bottle. It does have a really spicy finish.
Yeah.
I mean, that fat, I guess you were talking about, kind of masked it, but then as I was standing here listening to you talk, it has a really long finish. But this is a great bottle, and we'd love to have you guys come down today. So, yeah, cheers. Thank you so much for...
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Taking the time to come down here, and we'll see you guys today.